Welcome to happy fun Norse culture. This is the last class, so why not bring it back to a little traditional sense, eh? Today we're talking about Viking ships. Look at that sweet crunching sounds. Now, even before the Viking raid periods, ships were crucial to Scandinavian life because of Scandinavia's unique waterways and coves, right? Because Scandinavia is technically a bunch of, well, there's a lot of streams and rivers, like large rivers, but just not large enough for it to be like separate islands. Because Scandinavia also holds abundant shipbuilding materials like wood, iron, and wool, because there's a lot. So Vikings, they quickly developed powerful marines that can easily overwhelm European ones. So before the 8th century AD, the Scandinavians only built rowing ships, and none with like sails. So none of them with big masts and all that. So it's all like manpower. The Viking Age only started once they started putting sails on their ships. Now, most of their ships were built as very fast, fast, flexible sailing ships that could transport large numbers of warriors. It's basically, so, troop carriers, basically. They go very fast, they hit the shores, they dunk all their soldiers into the land, and they retreat. That's basically Viking ships. Mainly the fighting is on land or like boarding enemy ships. These ships relied on wind power, so once the sails and masts start to go up. So you remember in that Vinland Saga anime I showed you, it's like wind, right? First we need to roll out into the sea and then they catch the wind and they can like go really, really fast. Not really fast, it's like you can basically, it's slower than Usain Bolt, these ships, but still pretty fast. If the winds favor them, they can sail like 27 kilometers per hour. So it's like less than Usain Bolt. Their ships were called long ships because, they're long. They're so long that they can hold like 30 to 50 soldiers. Their tactic isn't really boat fights. It's to use their boats to mount other boats and to dunk on them, basically. Now, normally one ship holds 26 rowers. So 13 on this side and 13 on that side. Each rower is a soldier, so it's like about 30 people on one ship. There's also like a main guy up front, a guy at the end, a guy on the sail, and stuff like that. Their seats are made from chests, They don't have seats, they use chests, to store their pillaged goods. It's like their own individual little lockers, in a way, Look at that, so cute. So Viking chieftains, they had the largest ship, So if two Viking branches fought, because there's also internal conflict within Viking tribes. If two tribes fought, the victor would take the loser's ships. Because ships, like the size and how many like men you have is like a symbol of your power. It's like, it gives you honor, basically. Yeah. So constructing a long ship takes a long time to do. So first thing, to cut wood, transport it to the build site, which is like a port or something. Build the outline of the ship. So look, the outline of the ship, and then like forge and the main body. So it's like the frame of the ship. They need to forge the nails and iron holdings of the ship, fasten them in place, burn the tar to glaze the wood. Because tar, is like a sticky stuff that will make the ship, in a sense, more buoyant and waterproof in water. And so they could make the ropes, make the sail, and all that. Shipbuilding needs a large quantity of high quality wood. It was used for making the main body of the ship. It was used this is like 90% wood. It's like 90% wood, 9% sail, and 1% iron for like nails to secure them. Now, they mainly used oak. In fact, oak was so popular that the word itself was used to like refer to ships. So oak. Now, they didn't grind the wood, like because in normal build sites, if you have like a, for example, a tennis racket, what they do? They take like this log of wood. They need to grind it on like a sawmill to get rid of its like trunk, to get rid of its like edges and stuff, get rid of its bark, and then they deglaze it, and then they wrap it around, and that's how you get a tennis racket. Well, the Vikings are like, no, screw it, I'm lazy. So they just use pure log. They'll cut one side of the log and just leave the other side unfinished in a sense, but really it helps. So these things, this made them more flexible because there's no afterwards refining to them. It's basically like turning a tree into a boat. So they are held together by nails, and they used wool to seal gaps within the ship's hull and covered it in pine tar to make it waterproof. So you have, it's layered, right? So you got the ship's hull, you got nails, like pulling them, like pushing them into each other, and then you have a layer of wool, and then you have another layer of tar. And in some cases, there will be another layer of like wood on top of them to make the ship like more buoyant, but that's not necessary. Now, here are some Viking ship types. First, we got the Snekia. I just like to call it the Snaky Boy. So it's a smaller, right, longer, it's a faster launch ship that was commonly used for raiding stuff and warfare. It had like a hollow draft and a single mast with a square sail, like that. It's a single mast thing. It could be rolled up to about 30 oarsmen, making it like a versatile and really maneuverable ship. That's Snekker. This is like one of the most common ships in movies. You remember this from the anime, like, yeah, that's a Snekker. Next up, we got the Carvey. So Carvey is basically a longship that was useful for both trade and warfare. Now this is also in the anime. Like the trader guy, like the weird big beard guy. He's a trader, so he has one of those. It had a deeper draft than the Snekker. So a draft is basically like, I remember that it's like a steeper like ship body, so it's deeper really, so it could carry more goods and stuff. The Carvey also had a single mast with a square sail and was capable of being rolled. So most Viking ships look extremely alike. It's just their purposes are different. Some are bulkier for like trade vessels, and some are like narrower for like lightning combat, I guess. Now, this is called a busse. It's a large longship used for transporting troops and equipment for raids and warfare. It had like a high prow and stern, which provided protection for the crew during the battle. Now, it could be rowed up by up to 80 oarsmen, making it like a powerful and like really intimidating vessel on the ocean. It's like the equivalent to like a modern dreadnought in a way, except not that many people. So Viking ships, unlike how normal medieval ships, it's like one single ship, very large, and has a lot of like people on it. Right? Viking ships also large, but definitely smaller than like medieval battleships, but they have the advantage in numbers, basically. So they'll have like 50 small ships, each with 50 members, whereas one medieval battleship will have one giant battleship with like 200 members on it. That's basically how they fought. Yeah, it's like that. Now next up we have the Nar. It's like a larger, broader ship, you know, used primarily for trade and exploration. It had like a super deep draft, so the boat is like, the boat, if this is like your normal boat, this is like the NAR.
But what is it? How do you spell it?
NOR.
K-N-A-R-R.
Or NOR.
So in here will be like goods and food and equipment and like trade stuff basically. That yeah, just like that. It had a single mast, again very similar to the others. It was also capable of being rowed. Now this is a ferry. Now, it is a super small ship. You know, it is the smallest ship. It is a two-oared boat commonly used by the Vikings for fishing and short distance transportation.
Wait, ferry as in like the
Ferry.
ferry we have now, or
Ferries we have now are pretty large
Yeah.
use of transport. This is like a ferry. It's more like F-A-E-R-I-N-G. It's more like use it for the fair.
Green.
Is it like, is it an English word?
If
Or?
it's seafaring, is that what you mean?
Yeah, you can
It
think
means
of that
that it
seafaring.
could probably go out into the open.
No, I mean, I just think of the ferry as the seafaring, the ferry of seafaring, but it's mainly used for like going between rivers, settlements.
So it's not seafaring.
Yeah, it's not sea. It's too.
It's
I'd
not
say it-
strong enough.
I'd say it's too small for it.
Okay. So it's a riverboat.
Yeah, you can say it's boom. It's like between short distance where you can see the other side.
So, okay.
Yeah. So it had a shallow draft, so you couldn't really carry anything with it. You know, it has a wide beam and a symmetrical hull, make it stable and maneuverable. But you know, at the loss of like permeability, I think. So frames were typically made of timber and had both a sail and a roar and an oar. Yeah. Yeah. So now, this is a birdie. So it's a large trading vessel used by the Vikings. It was similar in design to the Nar, but like, because Nars, now it was similar to them, but smaller in size. Birdings had like a single mast with a square sail in the middle that could carry a considerable amount of cargo considering its like shallow draft. They were used for coastal trading and transportation of goods along rivers and coastal areas. So that's like, I really like the design of this. It's got that elfish, you know, feeling from like Middle Earth and stuff. So, lastly we have the skid. So it's a larger and more elaborately decorated warship compared to the standard longship. So now obviously, since it's more elaborate and stuff, it's more posh, you know. It was used by Viking chieftains and the wealthy individuals to showcase their power and status. Skids were longer and narrower than typical longships and were often carved and plated with like small amounts of gold and silver, you know, for like a ship. So it's like really powerful for really powerful guys. Now you may be wondering how like Vikings, how do they go to the bathroom on these, man? It's like,
Just keep moving you away from each other and you're still gonna mess around.
it's like, bruh, it's so little, you know? So, you know, they just do it, you know? But how do they eat? You know, they cannot start fires on there. You know, so what happens is Viking travel, they usually, you know, so most Viking ships, they're in like small coves, like these. You know, it's basically coming from, for example, if there's a village here, they'll sail across like the lake, the giant lake, into the other side, into the river, into the other mountains. You know? So what they'll do is that they'll stop on the way. They'll like stop their ship. They'll get off. They'll start a fire. They'll cook. The other method is that they'll dry their meat, make it super salty, you know, super ultra salt, bro, saltier than Karis's drink. God damn it.
Wait, what about her?
She's doing a test.
So that's that. Vikings, they'll carry like this weird backpack sack thing, rucksack thing with them. So what they do is that they have this long piece of fur, you know, like bear skin or like wolf skin or whatever, you know, and they'll like make it very fluffy, and they'll put like different equipment into there. They'll carry it. When the time comes, they'll like untie the sack and put all the equipment away, and then they'll sleep on the fur. So they're technically sleeping on their backpack. Now, I think like an interesting fact right now is that, so for another word, posh. So, wait, yeah. So posh actually came from like sort of the Viking medieval times. Posh is basically like, came from sailors, really. So, P-O-S-H. It means port out, starboard home. It's basically when you travel outside, you know, when you leave a port, you know, you're going out. And starboard is like go to the right or the left. I forgot. I think it's the left, right. When you go home, you know, the ship's side that faces home is usually the left. So it's starboard, you can climb off and you can go. That's home, you know. So, but people who like returned and went are usually wealthy merchants, you know. So they're like, oh, they're so posh, you know. So that's how they got the word posh. That's it. The end.